Hello and welcome to the next video in this Craft CMS 3 tutorial series. In the last video, we created two new pages, an About Us page and a Contact page. In this video, we're going to make the navigation editable within Craft CMS so we can link these pages to the new entries. So let's start by creating a new field for each one of these links. We'll go to Settings, Fields, and add a new field. Let's call this Navigation. And for the field type, let's choose Matrix. Matrix fields allow us to add multiple fields within that one matrix field. So let's create a new block type and we'll call it nav link. And here is our first field within this group. Let's call this link text. We want this field to be required and it can be plain text. This field will represent just the text of the link. So in this case, about us or contact. The next field we need is the link destination. This is where the link will go to. Let's make this field also required. And for the field type, let's choose entries because we want to link to another entry on the site. Let's limit it to only one because one link should only go to one page. And let's add a label. Great, so we'll save this. So we now have a new field for each of the navigation links. So the header here in the navigation is a global element. It's used across the site on every page. The same goes for the footer. It's a global element that's used everywhere. So let's go to the admin panel and look at globals. If we go to Settings, Globals, we can create a new global set, which is a grouping of fields for a global element. So let's create one for the header. So we'll type in the name is header and go to the field layout, create a new tab. I'll call it content. And we'll drag our navigation field into this and save. And you see we have a new link here in the sidebar for globals. So we'll click that. And here's our header grouping, our global set header. And we have one link in here, which is the navigation link. So before we add links, let's go to our template and remove the hard-coded links here. And let's create a loop to loop through all of the links added in that global set. So it's a for loop, so for link in. So we have to start with the global set name, which is header, and then the name of our field within that, which is navigation. So for each link in the header navigation field, we will output an A tag. And this will be the text of the link. So we say link.link text, because that's what we called that field. Actually, we'll create a variable here to shorten things. And we'll use the twig keyword set to create a variable. And we'll call this destination. So the destination variable is going to be the link's link destination field. And this is actually an element query. So we have to get the first one in the query. So we'll add .1, just like we did with images. Down here, we will say destination.url to get the URL of that entry. And that's it. So we'll go back to the browser and refresh. And we've lost our links. So now let's add them back in Craft CMS. So we'll create our first nav link called About Us, and it will link to the About Us entry. And our second one will be Contact, and that will link to our Contact entry. So let's save this and refresh. And there we go. We have two links back here from Craft CMS. And if we click this, it goes to the About Us page. And we click this, it goes to the Contact page. So what if we wanted these links to have active states? So when you were on the About page, the About Us link was lit up or styled differently. Let's take a look at that. So as we loop through each link, we obviously have information about where that link leads to. And on any page in Craft, we can get the information of what page we're on. So let's create a new variable here to represent information about the page we're on. So we'll say slug, and we're just going to use the word slug to represent the first segment of the URL. So here we have the base URL, and this would be the first segment of the URL. If there was a slash and then something else, this would be the second segment of the URL. So we have that information available to us in any template. So we will say the slug is equal to craft.app.request, and we want to get the first segment. Get segment 1. Let's take a look if this worked. We'll just output it into the page real quick. Great, so we can see we are on the About Us page. This is the first segment of the URL. And if we go to the contact page, this slug, or first segment of the URL, is now contact. Perfect. So we will delete that. And down here in our link, let's add a new class name only if this slug matches this link's slug. So we'll say if the slug equals the destination dot slug, then we'll add a new class of nav link active. End. All right, let's test this out. Cool, so we're on the About Us page, and we get this active class on the About Us link. And if we go to the contact page, we get the active class there. So the last thing we're going to tackle in this video is making the footer text editable. So this is another global element. So let's go to the Craft CMS admin panel, and let's create a new global set because it doesn't fit within the header global set. So we'll go to Settings, Globals, New Global Set. We'll call this one Footer, and let's edit the field layout. Create a new tab here called Content, and let's reuse our rich text field once again for the footer text. So we'll drag that there and save. So let's go to our template and look at our footer. Let's take out this hard-coded content and output the global content. So the global set name is footer. So this word footer is available to us anywhere within Craft CMS. And the field name is rich text. So we'll type that there. And if we go back to the website, obviously it will disappear. So now let's add it again in Craft. So we'll go back to globals, and you see we have two global sets now. We have our header and we have our footer. And obviously we could add more fields if we had a more complicated footer, but for now we just have one rich text field. So we'll paste our content in and save. And refresh our page. And there we go. We have our footer text back. The footer is editable. The navigation is editable. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.